Hi everyone, today we're going to be looking at the work of designers. So we're going to identify and discuss the work of some notable designers and consider how to use their work to influence your own and the importance of carrying out research. So, bad artists copy, good artists steal. Thought we'd start off with a little quote, and that is in fact by Pablo Picasso. Now, you can interpret that however you wish, but I think it's a really nice thing just to kind of think about and get started. Because actually, you know, famous designers do get their ideas from other designers. No one is so original that they've come up with something without any background. So, and we really are inspired by others' work, right? And you can have a think about which artists or designers you've been inspired by in your life as well. So we're going to look at 3 designers, Itari Satsas, Beck and Tiffany. And we're going to look at 3 companies, the Alessi company, Apple and Dyson. So let's get going. So Itari Satsas, first of all. Now I have for you a video. So I thought I'd start you with this absolutely excellent video. Start big or go home, and I think you'll really enjoy it. So it's all about the origin of the 80s aesthetic and all about our designer first of all. Itari Satsas was an architect and a designer and founded the Memphis movement. Now you can see him up here, and then these are his colleagues, and evidently they were quite good friends as well. So his group's work inspired the aesthetic of the 80s with unusual patterns, sharp angles, stripes, zigzags, vibrant neon colours. You can see here with a bookcase. And the idea behind the pieces was they designed in opposition to very traditional functional designs or flowery motifs of the last several decades. And here is a collection of some of the pieces that they came up with. See, there's an entire living room based with just Memphis design. So the aesthetic set these products apart from merely functional ones, right? They are functional, but they're actually, you know, their design aesthetic is obviously very, very different. And it's since seen a revival, actually very recently in the last few years, with a fun and modern take on lots of different products, like clothes that we have here, everything from the catwalk to Katy Perry wearing it to collect an award, and, you know, sneakers and all sorts, and sometimes in a softer palette, but it's still making that same contemporary statement, right? These kind of iconic wiggly lines, right? They used to be in black, or sometimes they still are, now they tend to be in different colours, and that real 80s kind of feel. So next we're looking at Beck, and another absolutely fantastic video for you to watch to really get you started. So Beck was an electrical draftsman and designed the London Underground tube map in the 1930s. So the tube maps were originally based on just the surface geography and topography, and they were quite difficult to interpret. So here was the one that was available at the time in 1930 by a chap called F.H. Stingemore, and you can see the lines are very undulating, and they are all based around the Thames, and everything is supposed to be pretty much where it is in London. So he designed a colour-coded system, or schematic, for the underground stations based on the electrical wiring maps that he was so familiar with. And here was his successful 1932 version. Now, it's not a huge jump from Stingemore's design. In fact, he even borrowed some of the similar colours. But you can see how it's much more structured, only vertical, horizontal and diagonal lines. So the result was a really clear, comprehensive chart, and of course became an essential guide for London. And many iterations over the years, from obviously different people, right, have led to the schematic that we know and trust, and it keeps developing year on year as changes are made and new stations are introduced or old ones are closed, for instance. And it was so successful that in the following decades, many other cities modelled their transport maps on our British creation. So here is the Barcelona metro, which is very easy to navigate around, really fantastic. Tokyo subway map is very similar, slightly different take on it. And the Sydney transport map, which accommodates not just trains but also ferries, right, all sorts of different transport. Now there's been a lot of designs or products that this design has been incorporated into. Some of them are very literal, like these ones, and often sold as novelty gifts for tourists, but actually companies like Paperchase, for instance, did an entire Transport for London range, and actually producing some really beautiful pieces and picking up just on the colours more than anything else, not just the actual map design. And let's take a look at our last designer, Tiffany. And here's a very short video to get you started. So Comfort Tiffany, amazing name, was an American artist and designer. He started in wallpaper, furniture and textiles, but he's now best known for his stained glass windows, stained glass lamps, as well as other pieces like blown glass, ceramics, jewellery and metalwork. Here are some of the most iconic pieces that he has made, and you can see that they all have a very natural, nature-based aesthetic, right? And this is based on Art Nouveau. If you are an artist, you'll be familiar with Art Nouveau, which was very common and popular at the time. Here you can see some beautiful stained glass that's so incredibly intricate, and this is then related into the lamps that became completely iconic at the time. And to find one of these nowadays, they're very, very expensive, and very, very beautiful. One of my favourite ones is probably this one, which looks just like a tree. It's really lovely. But of course, the Tiffany company moved into primarily jewellery, right? So the metalwork then transferred into just the jewellery, and because he became the first design director, but now the company is fundamentally very feminine brand. But just to really kind of make you think about it, it's not just the work that the company does, it's also the kind of familiar pieces. So the organic Art Nouveau and Tiffany aesthetic has been a real mainstay for whimsical, elegant objects for many, many decades. And for instance, the elven Rivendell in Lord of the Rings being particularly very influenced by Art Nouveau. So now let's look at some companies. So first of all, in alphabetical order, we have Alessi. So this first video that I have for you, I've jumped a fair bit in. I'd just like you to watch up to 6 minutes and 8 seconds, although you can obviously watch the rest if you'd like to. And this is about how the Alessi bird kettle is made. So here is Alberto Alessi himself. So Alessi is actually not a designer per se, but he has hired leading artists and architects, including Salvador Dali and Itari Satsas from our Memphis group. And it was founded in 1921 and produces now, still, everyday objects which combine mass production with real creativity. So their mission is to make products really fun and appealing, but also simple, versatile, functional. There tends to be a bit of a shift between some of the pieces which are definitely aimed more at adults, which are very streamlined, very functional, very beautiful, and these really fun kind of colourful characters which are aimed at a slightly younger audience. But regardless, they're all supposed to kind of represent like an art piece within the home. Now let's take a look at Apple. So here is the man himself. This is Johnny Ive, and he worked for Apple, and he is going to take you through and explain the background to Apple. So Johnny Ive, who was an industrial designer, he was a lead designer of the Apple company from 1992 to 2019. And it was his simple, sleek designs that gave Apple their iconic aesthetic, which obviously we think about nowadays, and has also won a number of design awards. So the iconic kind of designs are these smooth, rounded edges, simple interfaces, which make them really user-friendly because they're very intuitive, right? To have intuition means that you just know what to do. And they have real universal appeal as well. So sort of, you know, broad many countries. But of course, this sort of modern design is this minimalist aesthetic, which really favours clean looks and subtle tones, has actually kind of sort of drifted in to a variety of different kind of designs. So everything from clothing and furniture to typography. And our last, of course, is Dyson. Let's take a look. So just like before, James Dyson here is going to talk you through the background and the values for the Dyson company. So James Dyson is a British inventor, industrial designer, and the founder of the Dyson company. Of course, he is very well connected to the actual products that they sell, but of course they're not all just designed by him, right? They are designed by the number of people that work for the Dyson company, of which there's over 7,000 people worldwide. The company is best known for their cyclonic bagless vacuum cleaner, which produces really consistent suction, no need for bags. And the Dyson company values innovation, efficiency, and original design. So now that we've had a little think about the different designers and the different companies and the designer who work for those companies, we really want to think about how we can incorporate some of those designers' influences into your own work. So I have an example for you. So I wanted to design a project which was going to be a planter made for housing multiple plants, made from pallets, right? So wooden pallets that you get deliveries on. So to begin with, I did a lot of research. Here's just a little snippet from my Pinterest page. And then, of course, I had a little look at the Memphis design movement, that sort of new contemporary kind of feel. And I put together a little colour palette, actually just sampling the different colours from these that were here. And in doing so, I actually put together on Illustrator an outline for what my built-up palette planter might look like. And I played with shape and graphic quality. You can see I did multiple iterations, but you can see how I've just taken a planter idea, applied a particular design aesthetic, and made something new and fresh for myself. Now, I actually ended up taking a slightly different turn, just because I didn't feel like the black from the Memphis design was really kind of my feel. So I had a slightly more sort of seaside design. And then I ended up actually building it, and this is what is in my garden right now. But the point still stands, right? It's still about taking the designer work, their influence, the best bits that you really enjoy, and applying it to your own designs. So let's go through the recap. So we have 3 designers and 3 companies. So our designers are Itari Satsas from the Memphis group, Harry Beck and Tiffany. So Sottsass and the Memphis group, they're best known for their bright, bold, contrasting shapes and patterns, their iconic 80s design. Harry Beck was an electrical draftsman who designed the simplified, iconic schematic of the London Tube app and modelled on wiring layout, and has been modelled in many other cities since. Tiffany was a talented artist, famous for their Art Nouveau-inspired stained glass, furniture and jewellery. Now let's take a look at the companies. So we had Alessi, Apple and Dyson. So Alessi is mass-produced, stylish and classic, or fun and colourful homeware, these art pieces in the home. The Apple company are best known for their smooth edges, their sleek modern design and user-friendly interfaces. And the Dyson company values innovation, efficiency and original design. So I hope you found that really useful, guys, and I hope to see lots of beautiful designs and influences in your own designs later on. Best of luck. See you soon.